You are looking for hope. What went wrong? These are questions that we need to answer. Is it because, I have my own theory on this. I have my own theories, and I see a dangerous trend. And it goes back to what I said earlier. We set expectations so high that we provide you with, up until the age of you're 18, 19, 20, 22 years old, you're full of hope. If there's a mathematical equation, you're able to solve it. You're an engineer after all. You solve problems. You take pride in that. We set you up for expectations. You graduate, and for the next year or two, you're full of frustration. For the next 2-3 years, what you have anticipated your entire life is not there. We tell you when you're young and when you get accepted to prépa or école d'ingénieur, that this is it. You're done. Your life is going to be all roses from this point on. You look around, and if it isn't you, your friends don't have jobs. You go back to your family where you came from, like I do sometimes, and you see the misery, and you see the country is going backwards, and you see people that you went to school that they can't, they're obese, they have diabetes, they're thinking of يحرق Libya, Italia, they're thinking of joining to Libya. And it's depressing, right? Yet the solution is within us. The solution is within us. We have to stop looking for solutions to come from somewhere else. We can't download an application called Solution and put it on our iPhones. We have always looked elsewhere. We as North Africans, as Arabs, as Muslims, have stopped being number one in the world the day we started looking westwards for solutions. Okay? I'm here to tell you, this is where you need to make the change. Stop believing that anyone with a higher position in any institution has a solution for your problems. That's not going to happen. Stop thinking that the Ministry of Higher Education has a solution to your problem. I'm here to tell you, that's not going to happen. Stop thinking that the government has a solution to your problem. Or any politician wearing a suit promising you all these things. None of those things are going to happen. The solution is here in this room. And it's within you. It's within you. And so one of the first things that you need to do, you got to look inwards. The most difficult job, tougher than any equation or anything that you have done in school, is to find it. And it resides inside each one of us. What do I need? What are the tools that I need within me, internal to me, to solve this equation, to solve this problem? I have done this 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was like you guys. I was in Boston, Massachusetts. Boston is a city in the northeast coast, on the northeast coast of the United States. I just left Jeddah. I went from Jeddah to Boston. It's quite a change. Okay? There, at least, they don't care if I speak Gay or Qat. So, and I had a really difficult time. I had a difficult time making the transition. And I blamed everything on my world, on my surroundings. These Americans, they don't know how to do this. I'm the only Tunisian that I knew in Boston in 1979. Okay, there weren't many. And still today in Boston, there aren't many people from Tunisia. And every time I failed, I blamed it on something else. I was almost ready to blame things on the weather. It's too cold, it's too hot. And I had a really difficult time making the adjustment. And it wasn't until I got a piece of paper from my school. I either get my act together or they were kicking me out of school. My grades weren't good. My first year, And it was the biggest disappointment because up until Buck, I was one of the top students. Because I was good in math and everything, coefficient, so it was cool. And why were my grades so bad? My grades were so bad because I thought, this is it, I'm a mathematician, I don't need to learn anything else. And to my disappointment when I went to school, and I showed them my dossier, my files, oh no, they said, Mr. Saibi, you have not taken any of the courses that matter to us. And I said, but I'm a math person. They said, yes, indeed you are. But here's what you need to succeed. We can let you graduate. We cannot let you graduate our university because you have that on your stamp, on your diploma. We have a reputation. Unless you take sociology classes, philosophy classes, humanity classes. And I said, excuse me, you must be mistaken, I'm a math major. Yes, we know. That was the first lesson I learned. That it didn't matter how smart I was in mathematics. There was no way I was going to succeed outside of the university by talking to X and Y everyone. You know, I wasn't seeing the Pythagorean formula in the street. There were people. People had problems, had issues. There was poverty, there was racism, there was segregation, there were gender issues. And I found myself working in corporations where no one knew mathematics. What was more important, that I understood now all about social issues. I understood about human issues. I developed a sense of empathy. I began, for the first time, 3 years after I arrived into the United States, when something didn't work the way I wanted to, I could fix it right away. And you know how I did that? I looked inside of me. How did I contribute to this? I didn't say, was it too cold today? Was it too hot? Was the weather? Was the professor? None of that. My life took a change for the best. And I never looked backwards from that moment on. Because now I was able to tackle these issues and handle these issues head on, which is what I am asking you to do now. Which is what I am asking you to do now. Our educational system has failed you, but we can no longer blame them, because from this point on, if we continue failing, it is now your fault. You can only blame the educational system while you're in school, while you're in high school. You're in university now, and you can think of your own. So learn about one another. Learn about what makes this country work. Learn about why we are failing. Learn about your neighbor, the student sitting next to you. Learn what makes him happy, what makes him sad. Learn why people disagree on things. Learn to accept the difference. Build on what keeps you together. Build on what makes you strong. You're here because you're some of the best students. You were told all your life you need to be number one in class, in school. And if you weren't number one, your parents weren't very happy with you. Or number two, or some of the elite, because you wouldn't be elected. We have created a selective system that only rewards the best and forgets about everybody else. We're now asking you to look at life differently. Your grades mean nothing when 10 years from now. Everyone will forget whether you got 10 sur 20 or 19 sur 20. Trust me when I tell you. I have people like you every day that I interview, and the last thing I look at is, what was their grade? Do they have the social intelligence, the emotions to feel for others, the empathy to understand, the awareness of their own emotions, the capacity to build relations? That's what's going to make you successful. Continue working on your grades. I'm not saying stop reading and stop doing homework. Not at all. Not at all. And when I think back about that title, about patriotism and young people, truly, after all, what is a patriot? What is a patriot when there are no borders? What is a patriot when many of us weren't born in Tunis? What is patriotism when your passport means nothing? What is patriot when just this year alone, 7,000 of our information technology engineers will be working for foreign companies? What is patriotism when the bigger corporations in this country are multinationals? What is patriotism when many of you want to go work in a different country as soon as you're finished? What is patriotism? We don't have soldiers from another country marching on horsebacks, holding flags from different countries invading us. We don't have warplanes attacking us. We have many issues. Violence, terrorism. But where did those problems come from? They came from 20 years ago of not having someone like me and you discuss these issues. Our problems today, if they come from the inside or outside, are self-inflicted. We have created these problems. As we know, there are nearly 3,500 young men and women who were patriots, today training in Libya to attack us. There are nearly 6,500 of Tunisian young men and women like you and me in Syria, killing in the name of a God I do not know. So what is patriotism to you? Defending the flag? I say not. It's not about the flag anymore because no one is threatening our flag. No one's threatening our country. No one threatening our religion, our identity, any more than we are responsible for threatening our religion, our country, and our flag. Those of you who watch cartoons, there's a cartoon character called Poco. Poco ran back to his soldiers and he says, "I have found the enemy." And the enemy is us. We are responsible for our successes. We are also responsible for our failures. And the first thing we need to do is to be aware of that. Otherwise, we will be fighting a ghost enemy that doesn't exist. This is the human engineering that I'm talking about. A patriot to me today, a true patriot in 2016, is someone who thinks of his neighbor as he thinks of himself. Someone who cleans the streets when he sees something good. Someone who pays his taxes. Everyone's talking about the Panama Papers, like they had never heard of fiscal evasion before. I work with many corporations in Tunisia, and the first thing they do is how to avoid paying taxes. I mean, come on, who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? I don't want to point the finger here, but many of you will probably negotiate a salary. On what? We're no different than those who are. We're no different. We are the enemy. And we need to see that. And the moment we see that and do something about it, we have become true patriots. Patriotism, like leadership, begins on the inside. And it's not a matter of saying, yes, 9 avril 1938, عملوا هكا ولا 20 مارس عملوا. That's great. That's history, and we have to respect it and celebrate it. But show me what you've done for me today. What are you doing today for yourself and for this country? And it's not about signing up for the army. It's not about donating money for that account that's going around. Those are all nice things. But do your part. Become the ideal citizen that you need to be. Because the rest of Tunisia, they're not extraterrestrial people who came and landed on this planet. They're you and me. They're people who resemble you and me. They come from Gafsa and Gassin and Sidi Bouzid and Marsa and Zarwan and Benzar. Who do we point the finger to? Who do we blame? We need to take that responsibility. That is how today youth can become patriots. So if you truly want to be true patriots, become engineers of human relations. Engineer your life in a very non-technical way. Get involved and pay it forward. Do something nice for someone without expecting anything in return. When was the last time any of us did that? When was the last time some of us truly stepped out of our comfort zone to do something for another fellow student? To do something for someone you do not know? We can't each, Tunisia isn't a bunch of individuals. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, for those of you who know mathematics. It's all or bust. We all succeed together or it's bust. We may have individuals succeeding, and yes, and you can go and work for a multinational. But your life is empty when in 10 and 15 years you look around you and your fellow students are still where you left them, and in some cases, back. They have less food on the table today. They're sick and they can't buy medicine. The elementary school where you went is falling apart. I went back to Jelma last week, my hometown. And on the way back, I cried. Because my elementary school that I left in 1970 was not touched, in horrible condition. There are no toilets for the young babies. Little girls go to the bathroom under a tree. I'm talking in 2016. And you know why I cried? Because I felt guilty that I didn't do what I'm asking you to do. That's patriotism. You have a lot of work to do. And you need to rethink your ideas. And unless you do something else, and unless you do something about this, nobody else will. No one else will. The future, your future, the future of this country is in your hands. It's not in the hands of those who watch on Facebook or on television. You have a tremendous responsibility. And I know you can do it because you're engineers. Thank you.